this might be a new record. Last year we had Astrobot coming out of nowhere and being shilled to no end as like the biggest release of the year. But this year we have Expedition 33, Clair Obscur, a game that clearly knew it was going to be obscure by the title, so much so that they put the word obscure in the title. You know what I mean? Like that's how bad this game is. It was never gonna go anywhere. It was never gonna be a big deal. This is like some French conspiracy to act like they have a relevant video game industry. This is like I don't even know what to call this because this is one of the most asinine, insane things I've seen in recent years. Okay, it's just a really shining example as to how the Western video game sphere is really desperate to kind of eclipse the Japanese gaming industry. Like, oh, we could totally make turn-based RPGs too. So like this is just them ripping off Xenoblade, ripping off like Final Fantasy, ripping off like every other like major Japanese RPG in the past 20 years and like no, it's not plagiarism. It's a homage. It's like they had like Quentin Tarantino doing their PR. It's like it's that kind of game, it's just one of those things. Like, why exactly would I want to play a derivative, uninspired French knockoff of a Japanese RPG when I could just play a real, legit thing? Why would I watch a Netflix animated series when I could watch a legit anime? You know what I mean? Like, it's the same kind of thing. It doesn't matter what you call the game or like what the how it plays or how it's structured or what the plot and the characters are like or like what the character designs look like you're simply not going to be able to replicate the best Japanese RPGs just by imitating their turn-based combat system. Like it's a lot like how Netflix, it's just like how Netflix cannot produce anime because they got their filthy Western gaijin hands on it. Like the French cannot produce real JRPGs. Games that are absolutely not on par with the best games in the genre. Okay, and that's the big important takeaway when you look at this game and like the people playing it and the hype cycle behind it. Are these people actual RPG fans? And the answer overwhelmingly is no. It's just like Stellar Blade fans pretending it's a legit action game when like it obviously pales in comparison to like Bayonetta and like all of its real contemporaries. People only bought it because of skin, right? People only bought it because like, oh man, I love Korean women. Like Stellar Blade had nothing to do with like its actual mechanics or gameplay or style, story, plot, character. Like the only reason anybody knows anything about it is because of the Astroturfing campaign to try and push Shift Up as like a studio to watch and actually care about. Because I do think this is like the problem with like the industry right now is that like every single major AAA studio that people used to buy PlayStation and Xboxes for have like just destroyed their reputation so thoroughly that like the industry is rallying to try and prop up like nobody's like this, like trying to say Shift Up is a big deal, or like the Clair Obscur guys are a big deal, or even like Astrobot is a big deal. Larian has a big deal. It's probably the most blatant example, right? These are the teams that are supposed to like pave the way to a glorious like gaming future, and in reality, like these guys are getting outperformed by 10-year-old like Mario Kart games, right? Like nothing they've put out is competing with Nintendo at all. And that is the big takeaway when you look at like what these people are doing and their numbers and stuff like that, because their success is very superficial. It's very astroturfed. It's very clearly fake. So when the chickens come home to roost, when they have to pay back their loans, or like the companies aren't getting their money back, or like people aren't actually buying PlayStations for Stellar Blade, like you're gonna see like this huge implosion, right? People are going to stop caring about these companies just as quickly as they started propping them up. Because I remember like when BioWare started getting this reputation in the 2000s. Like I remember when they were like, when they coined the term JRPG to kind of distinguish to separate themselves from the genre. The real RPGs, like the Western influenced like D&D style stuff. Like, the idea was that like the real RPGs were going to be bigger and better than the JRPGs, but immediately they all went bust. They stopped being made. Nobody produces Western RPGs anymore in any reasonable capacity, and none of them are relevant outside of like what Bethesda produces. So so now they're doing like this thing where they're like trying to like say, well, actually, we can produce Japanese RPGs too, but like you can't, like you're not going to, and like nobody's gonna respect you. Like again, it's just like if we can't beat them, let's join them kind of mentality here. Like they know that gamers are most like that the Japanese are like the people to beat when it comes to like game design, and so like everything they do essentially amount to like pretending that they're better than Japan, or that they have more resources than Japan, or that they can put more money into games than Japan, or that they don't have like the problems that Japan has or whatever. Like, and it just kind of like completely implodes upon itself. It's just this embarrassing just circle jerk of people trying to gaslight each other into thinking that like Korea is like some video game development powerhouse because they produce Nikkei. Like it's like, what are you talking about, bro? You're paying real money for like some JPEG image of like a Korean like cartoon like bouncing her titties at you. That's Nikkei, right? Like it's not a successful video game. It's just a gotcha thing, which really should be like treated as its own thing, like separate from like traditional video games. But like it conveniently isn't. When in regards to talking about like this topic, never mind that like the Pokemon TCG game has already outperformed it. Never mind like Nintendo's successes in the mobile scene in general. Like, oh man, Nikkei. But um, my point is that like the industry is very desperate to keep up the illusion that the gaming industry is more competitive than it actually is. There's one very clear market leader, Nintendo, in basically every genre that exists. And there's just this huge push to try and gaslight people into thinking that like there are still RPGs on PlayStation and Xbox worth playing, that there are still like third person shooters playing, that there's still platformers playing. Like uh, like they've just been trying to like pretend that these games are competitive, but they're just not. Like now that I've actually seen like footage of Clair Obscur, like I can't help but like just marvel at how terrible it looks. Just marvel at just like how fake the promotion for this game is and the enthusiasm behind it. Like I don't know how much they're paying you, but like to hype this game up, but like it's not enough. Like, if I was like RGT85 or like Arlo or like whoever else is shilling this, right? Like, if I was one of those guys, I would like be demanding like, I need to be paid like 10 times more than this because I can't do it, man. Like, I can't. But anyway, it's uh, it's embarrassing. This is not the first time this has happened. This is not going to be the last time this has happened. But like, I do think like gamers really do need to start acknowledging that these kind of astroturfed promotional campaigns need to be rejected.